So after making my previous video on Terrence Howard and 1 times 1 equals 2, I got to thinking that maybe there is some other mathematical system that could be used to demonstrate that 1 times 1 equals 2. So not the real number system. So in the one-dimensional real number system, 1 times 1 does not equal 2, 1 times 1 equals 1. Okay, this is a system that we developed, that humans use to do real-life mathematical calculations. And so in the real number line, now it's not really a line, but we call it a line because we often draw it as a line on a piece of paper. We have the real number line. So in the real number system, let's call it a system, in the real number system, 1 times 1 is equal to 1 and 1 times 1 is not. You would put a not here. 1 times 1 is not equal to 2. But perhaps there is some other mathematical system where 1 times 1 can equal 2. Okay, so I'm speculating that there might be some other number system, not the real number system, but some other number system that someone invents where in that system 1 times 1 can equal to 2. So I couldn't think of anything off the top of my head, but then I got this message from one of my YouTube subscribers, Lukey Pool 9254. This person has been on my team for quite some time, and so this person, Lukey Pool, came back and said, matrix multiplication allows for 1 times 1 equals 2. Of course, you know how much I love matrix multiplication and all my talk about complex numbers. Okay, so matrix multiplication allows 1 times 1 equals 2, but at a minimum of a 2 by 2 matrix where each of the cells are filled with 1. Okay, so we're going to have a look at this. This was, thank you, Lukey Pool 9254. This was actually a really good idea, and so I was able to leverage this idea to come up with a mathematical system where 1 times 1 can equal 2. So here is the system. I'm calling it the test number system because I am testing to see if I can invent a mathematical system where 1 times 1 equals 2. Now this is all about definition, okay? So it's very important to define what 1 means and what 2 means and what 3 means if you are defining a new mathematical system. Okay, so here is my test number system. In this system, 1 is the 2 by 2 matrix where all the entries are 1. 2 is the 2 by 2 matrix where all the entries are 2. And 3 is the 2 by 2 matrix where all the entries are 3, and so on. Okay, and so to distinguish this mathematical system with the real number system, I'm going to put my values in square brackets, just to remind you that this 1 is not the same as the real system, the 1 defined in the real number system. This 1 refers to this matrix where all the entries are 1, and so on. So now what we're going to do is we're going to multiply 1 times 1 and see what the result is. And of course, this is 1 in the test number system, in this number system. So 1 in this number system is the 2 by 2 matrix with 1s in all of the entries of the matrix. Okay, so here is the matrix multiplication calculator that I use, and I will try to remember to put this in the description of this video. And I've already set it up so that I've got 2 input matrices. I've got matrix A with all the entries set up as 1, and I've got matrix B with all the entries set up as 1. And when I click the calculate button, it is going to multiply this matrix by this matrix, and we're going to see the result. Okay, so I'm going to do this calculation, and there we have it. When you multiply those 2 matrices, you get a third matrix where all of the entries are equal to 2. Okay, so in this test number system where I defined 1 to be a 2 by 2 matrix with all the entries 1 and 2 to be all the entries where all the entries are equal to 2, and so on. 1 times 1 is equal to 2. So in my test number system, this matrix times this matrix is equal to this matrix. And in my test number system, I defined this matrix to be 1, this matrix to be 2, and so on. So in my test number system, 1 times 1 is equal to 2. Okay, so this is just an example of how someone can invent a number system that where 1 times 1 is equal to 2, but it's very important to define what 1 means and what 2 means, because obviously my 1 is not the same as the 1 of the real number system. Okay, so if you're going to define a new number system, you also have to redefine what what 1 means and what 2 means and what 3 means, okay? So you can't just say 1 times 1 equals, invent a new number system and say 1 times 1 equals 2 and not tell people that you are doing this in the context of an alternate number system that is not the real number system. Okay, so I think it's really important if you're going to invent a new number system where 1 times 1 equals 2, you have to tell the people you're teaching this to that there is a difference between your number system and the real number system that we use in real life, that we use in computer science, that we use to, that 99.9999% of the people on this planet use to do real life things on planet Earth. Okay. So basically what I'm trying to what I'm trying to understand is I'm trying to get to the root of why Terrence Howard is saying 1 times 1 equals 2. Why does Terrence Howard think there's that 1 times 1 equals 2? Now, when I look at the logic in his book, it appears to me that he is sort of manipulating words. He's using words incorrectly, maybe, like the word multiply, where he's thinking multiply only means to increase in number. And of course, we know that if you have a number bigger than 1 and you multiply numbers bigger than 1, you're going to get bigger numbers. And when you multiply numbers smaller than 1, then you're going to get numbers smaller than 1. And so looking at his book alone, it is not clear to me why Terrence Howard thinks that 1 times 1 equals to 2. And so that's what got me thinking, well, maybe him and his team, his software developers, are defining a different number system that isn't the real number system. Maybe they're trying to develop something else, and that in the context of that number system, 1 times 1 can equal 2. Now, I'm very specific about saying can equal 2 because Terrence Howard is giving the impression that because he's saying 1 times 1 equals 2, that 1 times 1 does not equal to 1, but 1 times 1 does equal to 1 in the real number system. Okay, so there is no conspiracy, there is no, there's nothing wrong with 1 times 1 equals 1 in the real number system. Okay, and if he's defining another number system where 1 times 1 equals 2, he can't at the same time say 1 times 1 does not equal to 1 in the real number system. Okay, so I think that's important that we distinguish, try to determine whether that is in fact what he is doing. So I emailed his software developer, Chris Cely, who Terrence mentioned actually in the Joe Rogan interview. Okay, so Chris Cely, was in touch with 5 years ago, and so I asked him one more time to try to explain to me why Terrence Howard thinks that 1 times 1 equals 2. And here is what he came back with. Okay, so he said, all Terry means is that the statement 1 times 1 equals 2 is more rational than the square root of 2. So, okay, so in the real number system, the square root of 2 is an irrational number. Okay, it's an irrational number, and so clearly they're talking about something different than the real number system here. I think when he says more rational, I don't think he means more understandable. I think he means that there is rationality in it, that there's a rational solution to the square root of 2. Okay, because the square root of 2 does not exist. Now, if you watch my YouTube channel, you will know why I don't like when people say something doesn't exist. Okay, so, and I know what he means here. He sent a link to a couple of videos. So what he means here is that it is impossible to, because the square root of 2 is an irrational number, it is impossible to write down the number such that when you square it, you get exactly the number 2. Because of the limit to the digits of precision of the computer, so the computer, of course, can only approximate the square root of 2. It can't give you exactly the square root of 2 because of the limit to the digits of precision of the computer. But if the computer had I can imagine in my mind, if the computer had an infinite number of digits of precision, then it would be able to 100% represent the square root of 2, and therefore the square root of 2 would exist in that context. So I think it's a little disingenuous to say the square root of 2 doesn't exist. I think you need to clarify that by saying the square root of 2 cannot accurately be calculated to an infinite number of decimal places on a computer, or it couldn't be written down. You couldn't write it down either. A human couldn't write it down. It would take an infinite amount of time to write an infinite number of digits. So I think it's not correct logically or philosophically to say that the square root of 2 doesn't exist. Okay, it exists. It would exist. It exists in my mind. I can imagine a computer with an infinite number of digits of precision where the square root of 2 could be exactly specified. But of course, in the real world, this is just not true. Okay, then he goes on to say, it's simply meant to get people's attention, to get them thinking about it more rationally. So now he is using the word rationally to mean, so maybe I am wrong about what he means about rational here. He wants people to think more rationally. Now, I think if he's using this word rational to mean rational rather than irrational, then he's using the term to think more rationally. So this is very confusing. I'm not really sure now what he means by this term rational. Get people to think more logically, to get people to think more intuitively. Well, 1 times 1 equals 2 in the real number system is not intuitive, and it isn't, in fact, not true. But then he goes on to say, in a hyperbolic H3 space with a constant curvature of phi, 1 times 1 can indeed equal 2. So this is why I think it's important to put the word can in there. So because it looks to me now that they are inventing some sort of different numbering system or some sort of measuring system or some sort of geometry that is independent of the real number system, that doesn't include the real number system, as some sort of hyperbolic numbering system where 1 times 1 can indeed equal 2. Okay, so if that is what they're doing, then that is what they should say they're doing. And if that is what they're doing, then I need to know in their number system, I need to know what 1 is. So in my test number system, okay, in my test number system, I defined 1 to be this, and 2 to be this, and 3 to be this. So if they are inventing a new kind of number system, a hyperbolic number system, where 1 times 1 can indeed equal 2, then I need to know that they're not using the same 1 as in the real number system. I believe that they could not be using the 1 from the real number system, that their 1 is different than the 1 from the real number system. And so they're going to need to define, like I did in my test number system, they're going to need to define what 1 is, and they're going to need to define what 2 is. Okay, so so a lot of things sort of came together in the last couple of days. I got this letter a couple of days ago. I got that message from Luke Boole, which gave me kind of a good ponderable example about how to get 1 times 1 to equal to 2, so that 1 times 1 can equal 2, but in a different number system. Okay, so if this is what they're doing, if this is what Terrence Howard and his team are doing, they need to be a little bit more clear. They need to specify what 1 is and what 2 is, and what numbers are in their new number system. Okay, and so this is not what they're doing. I've not been able to extract this information yet from this team, from this group. I'm not quite sure what it is, but the letter from Chris gave me a few more ideas as to, obviously this has to do with hyperbolic geometry. So obviously because the linchpin is a hyperbolic geometric structure. Okay, so obviously they are dealing with hyperbolic geometry, and somehow they are probably creating some sort of new number system that needs to be clearly specified and defined. Okay, so that's what I would like to see from this team. I would like to see their specification for their alternate number system such that 1 times 1 can indeed equal 2. Okay, so I also asked Chris if he thought that Terrence would do an interview with me for my channel. He said, I'm not sure about the interview, but I doubt it. Doubt he would be interested, probably because he wouldn't be able to fool me with his funky numerology. Okay, he said, but I will ask if he wants to and certainly let you know and assist in making any arrangements. And so I still would like to do this with Terrence, and I promise I will be kind and I will listen truthfully. Okay, truthfully, and this is a message to Terrence, I truly want to understand why you and your team think that 1 times 1 can equal 2. And if you are inventing a new number system to accommodate this equation here, then I would like to understand it. I really would. 100% am open and willing to understand what you are doing here. And if it's important, then I would, if you think it's important, then I think it's important. And I would really, truly like to understand this. Okay. So I hope everyone's having a good day, and well, I'll be back.